You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
Hi, how's everybody doing tonight? Yes, it's Jessie. Time for another episode of Jessie's POV. Hey, G, awesome show. Yes, G had an awesome show tonight. No, I didn't listen to the whole thing. I bounced in and out, and that's why I wasn't in the chat room for anybody who's wondering. I was kind of doing my own show prep. You know, kind of one of those things that has to happen. Now, just to remind everybody, you can tag me in a tweet at Jessie's POV. Yes, I do keep my notifications and only my notifications tab up during the show. Or you want to interact with me live, real time, chat? You can catch me over at KLRNradio.com/chat. Yes, I am hanging out in the chat room. Now, I know how much all of you loved my guest, Justin Kinney, last time I had him on. I'm working on trying to get something together with him for next week. And I will try and let you guys know in advance. So that you can hang out in the chat room and shoot questions at him. Because I think he actually got a kick out of that. You have to remember, he's a PhD student. So he's teaching classes by day. So he's used to questions and comments and feedback on the fly, at least to some extent. But I think he enjoyed that more than he's willing to let on. So if I actually get a chance to have a schedule with him further than a day out, I will definitely send the word out on Twitter. And if you're not following me on Twitter, why not? I send out all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm not on as much as I'd like. I do have quite a bit going on in my life, away from the microphone, as much as I love talking to you guys. All right, before I start all the topics I've got going on, I do want to remind you that Jessie's POV is available as a podcast in so many locations. I'm just going to name a few. iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio. I'm willing to bet I've already named at least one you've heard of. Come on, who hasn't heard of iTunes? Also, it's on podcast.com, Pocket Casts, SoundCloud, Stitcher. I could continue, but I'm not going to. So I want to thank everybody who tunes in faithfully. And Fu, I don't want to forget you. You had an awesome show tonight, too. And yes, I heard part of yours, too. And again, I was in and out. That's why I wasn't in chat, because I was doing show prep and chasing stuff down. It has been quite a week, and I apologize now for not being live with you last night. I had one of those times where I was just too exhausted to continue. And so I made the decision that even if I'd come on air, I wasn't going to be able to bring you the quality show that I strive for. So my option were limited. Hey, Stafford, you're probably doing show prep right now, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I did get a retweet from one of my fellow hosts, Stafford Voice. And if you aren't aware, Stafford Voice is hot on my heels. So you kick off the evening with Foo at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed up by G. Then you have me wandering in to talk international stuff. Yeah, I don't do much U.S. politics except what translates over to military and international. Then you've got Stafford Voice with his take on things. And rounding out the night would be our very own Rick Robinson, who, for those of you who don't know, Rick actually produces both Foo and G. So he's actually at his board for many hours on Wednesday nights. It's probably his biggest, busiest, hardest night. All right. I think that's enough babble. Well, I'll do one more thing. Then I'll let it go. I want some feedback from you folks. I am thinking about changing how I end my show. Now, the scream's still there, so that's not on the table. But is there anything else you think I should do when I'm ending my show? You can drop me a line in chat, KLRNRadio/chat. You can tag me in a tweet, Jesse's POV. You can email me at the station, Jesse's POV at KLRNradio.com. All right. Now, back to the show prep. May sound like more than it is, but yes, there is a nice, about the right size stack of show prep tonight. Some nights I pick up the stack of paper off the printer and go, I'll never get through all this in an hour. And I usually don't when I look at it like that. There's times I have an inch of show prep. Now, we're going to start off with everybody's favorite duck. Yes, you know who I'm talking about. Let's get his sound effect in here. Rocket Man. And yes, that's still he's still a duck on my show, even if we're calling him Rocket Man these days. All right. He's been a sneaky little fart. I'm trying to keep it station radio friendly, okay? I gotta try anyway. North Korea may have secretly restarted operations at Kaesong, the former jointly operated factory park where South Korean firms employed North Korean laborers to produce consumer products. Okay, first of all, I had the opportunity to visit the DMZ while the Kaesong industrial plant was in operation. So I actually got to purchase some of the products they were producing. And for the novelty of it, I picked up a pack of North Korean cigarettes, a bottle of some kind of North Korean wine, and a few other odds and ends. So it was definitely a fascinating adventure. But they're not selling those products at the DMZ anymore because this joint operation had been shut down. And I will say that when I was there, seeing the North and South cooperate on anything gave me a lot of hope. Now, it looks like they have resumed production at apparel factories. Now, of course, they didn't talk to South Korea about doing this. They just kind of snuck in and picked the lock and started stuff up. According to sources, the factories are producing clothes for North Korean domestic use, but have been restarted largely to fulfill Chinese factory orders. Because China is actually enforcing UN Security Council Resolution 2375 textile exports, and so they still have some orders to fulfill, but it's one of those things they kind of snuck in the middle of the night, picked the lock, and they flipped the switch on. According to the sources, they use curtains to hide operations and block indoor lighting from being seen at night. And they started this sneaky little behavior more than 6 months ago. Now, what I'd like to know is a lot of the supplies were brought in from the South. Where are they getting the electricity for this? Is it still the stuff from the South that's still turned on there and nobody thought to disconnect the Kaesong plant from the South's electrical grid? I'm willing to bet. Prior to Kaesong being shut down, there were approximately 20,000 North Korean workers there. And, of course, China has refused to extend visas for North Korean guest workers in addition to ordering all businesses to close down North Korean joint ventures 120 days from September 11th, 2017. So, and there has been a significant reduction in the North Korean labor force working in factories in the border city of Dadong. So, what are the North Koreans up to sneaking into Kaesong and flipping on those factories? Are they making military uniforms? I could see them doing that. Because especially if they have quote unquote 4 million new recruits, that's a lot of uniforms. Or are they up to something more sinister? I don't know. I have no way of knowing. Now, I thought that was just really, what are they doing there? I think somebody needs to cut that place off from all outside electrical sources. Thank you very much. Now, still in the same vein of North Korea, KJU's brother Kim Jong-nam, who the world knows was killed using VX, which is a banned nerve agent. All right, a little bit about VX. I've done some research. They don't think they think it was watered down with something else. It wasn't pure VX, or his symptoms would have been much more severe. Okay? They think, everybody I've talked to about it says this, whatever was sprayed in his face was watered down. But VX is deadly, my friend. You hold up a penny. You look at it. You see Lincoln's eye? That's how much VX it takes to kill you. So what I'm thinking is it was probably about that much VX placed in whatever they sprayed. Because they didn't just spray a whole ton of VX. And of course, the women have pleaded innocent in Malaysia's high court. They thought they were playing a harmless prank for a hidden camera TV show, or at least so they'd been told. Of course, Kim Jong-un, I believe, was behind this. Because Kim Jong-nam was a more moderate. Now, of course, North Korea blames us for killing Kim Jong-nam. I don't see why we would. I don't see why South Korea would. There's only one person I could see that has any use in killing Kim Jong-nam, and that's Kim Jong-un. So it doesn't say exactly how long he lived after being sprayed. But it was long enough to attempt to file a police report before going to a clinic. Kim's eyes were red, and he had a seizure. Well, I've looked into what VX does. It will cause you to thrash about. So I could see this being VX, but I don't think it was just VX in that spray bottle. I think they used a carrier substance, and obviously they would have needed propellant. So I just wanted to point that out. Yes, I've done my research on VX. Yeah, I can only imagine what my Google search results look like. All right. Continuing on with the lunatic of the North, Rocket Man. North Korean workers in China are forced to return home amid tougher sanctions. One source in Beijing said that a large number of North Koreans were seen leaving China after failing to get their visas extended. I think China is actually starting to take the North Korean threat seriously, at least as publicly as we can see it. They have North Koreans work in seafood processing, clothing, and electronic parts factories in Daedong, Yanji, and other cities. Those with expired visas were ordered to leave. That caused about 2,600 workers, yes, 2,600, not 26,000, in the 3 provinces to return to North Korea. Now, is there going to be some kind of backroom shady deal where China lets them in quietly or slips them back in? I don't know. Wish I did. What's next on the horizon for North Korea? Well, the CIA in this is in a news article, so nobody jump all over me about operational security, has warned that Columbus Day, October 9th, which happens to coincide with the anniversary for the founding of the political party that governs Pyongyang, could be a day where we see some fireworks. It's a North Korean holiday. Of course they might shoot something off. Don't they always? Now, of course, we have no idea what they're going to do, but it frequently does missile launchers, nuclear tests on these birthdays. October 10th marks the anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party of Korea in 1945. Needless to say, tension on the peninsula has been extreme. Months of increased weapons tests, new U.S. appraisals. Pyongyang is close to perfecting or perhaps already has made an ICBM missile that can carry a nuclear warhead. Yeah, it's interesting. We don't know. I don't think North Korea is going to intentionally start a war. And neither the article I'm looking at says pretty much the same thing. However, I could see one setting off by accident. The way I see it happening is he launches one of those missiles that goes off course and lands where it shouldn't, or breaks apart and violates another country's airspace like Japan or South Korea. So, now, what is fascinating Are we the only country North Korea is sitting there going, at, waving their fingers? No. No, we are not. So if you think we're the only one getting it from North Korea, nope. North Korea has warned that it is monitoring Britain carefully. After the Britain or the UK insulted the dignity of its leader KJU, Kim Jong-un. In a statement attacking the nation for statements made by its defense secretary, a state-linked organization warned the United Kingdom against continuing efforts to force its denuclearization. The state-run KCNA carried a statement calling out UK Defense Secretary Michael Fallon. It said he had given a quote-unquote reckless remark disparaging North Korea's nuclear development during a visit to Scotland with NATO ambassadors last Friday. All right. What he said, which has them all up in fluff and stuff. Today, the nuclear dangers are intensifying from a reckless North Korea and increasingly aggressive Russia. Now, let's rewind, folks. For those of you who don't listen to my show regularly, I told you on Monday that North Korea has been provided yet another way to access the internet on the outside world. Yes, Russia has given them access to the World Wide Web, basically been their internet service provider, in addition to the connection that China has already given them. So they've essentially almost doubled their number of people in North Korea that can access the internet. Now, this does not mean you're going to see smartphones in Pyongyang anytime soon. The Korean government is known for propaganda. Yes, many North Koreans think they are accessing the internet. If you are the typical Pyongyang kid, what you are trying to do your homework there, you are either doing it with pen and paper and books for your research, or you are accessing what is a glorified intranet, as in every website is internal and highly controlled by the North Korean government. There is no Google for you. The only people that really have access to the World Wide Web are the select, highly pampered pooches of Pyongyang, and not even all of those, and their intelligence folks and counterintelligence people. So, the North Korean statement noted that North Korea does not consider the United Kingdom an enemy, but the United Kingdom's apparent willingness to fight North Korea may make Pyongyang change its mind. So, like I said, the UK is on our side, and I have no doubt that the United Kingdom doesn't really care what Pyongyang thinks about them. In August, of course, Pyongyang threatened the United Kingdom with a quote-unquote miserable end for taking part in annual military drills in South Korea. All right. The other time I can see something really going cuckoo is this coming February. We've got October 10th, the holiday season, and then February. Why do I bring up February? February is the next major, large-scale joint exercise in South Korea between U.S. and South Korean forces. And Kim Jong-un's always saying, well, this is a rehearsal for invasion. I know if I was Secretary of Defense Mattis, I'd be looking at that saying, why don't I just give you what you think it is and get this show on the road? Now, Mattis is much more calculated than I am and much more relaxed and measured. I probably would have had us all in war by now, but I talked to the men and women who would be charged with fighting the battles. And they're all like, let's just get this over with. All right, it has come time to pay those radio station bills. So you can find me on Twitter at Jesse's POV or KLRNradio.com/chat when I'm on the air, and I will see you on the other side.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. you'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Everything is changing. Superman falls. Everything is breaking apart now. There's one to save us all. Superman falls.
All right, I picked that bumper music special for tonight because I wanted to remind everybody that as many as 22 veterans a day take their own lives in suicide. So if you have a veteran friend or if you are a veteran, reach out to your battle buddies, check in with them, say hi. You might be that phone call that stops them from making a permanent solution out of what can be a solvable problem. And no, I'm not trying to diminish PTSD at all. I have known and befriended many people with its effects. I'm just saying often it makes them feel alone and isolated. Be that light in their darkness. Reach out to them. Make that call, check up on them. All right, now I do have a new audio clip. And this is from Tuesday's Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. And what General Dunford said about Kim Jong-un. And remember, General Dunford is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
The intel community assesses, and I agree, that Kim Jong-un is on the path he's on right now because he believes that's necessary to enhance the survival of his regime. So he views the possession of ballistic missiles and a nuclear capability as inextricably linked to regime survival. What I think Kim Jong-un needs to realize is he cannot survive with ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons because the international community will not allow him to survive. And I think if there was one area that has been identified by many people as maybe being the one that would most profoundly change his behavior, it would be the loss of oil. And we've seen in the past when he's had when the oil has been cut off, there's been a change in Kim Jong-un's behavior. The fact is he needs economic resources external to the country to survive. And I think when he starts to have the risk calculation of the path he's on and actually the regime surviving because of economic resources necessary for it to survive, that's the best potential, which is why I think we should support Secretary Tillerson's current path of diplomatic and economic pressure to convince him that being a part of the international community and a key component of Secretary Tillerson's plan has been the prospect of North Korea entering back into the community of nations and addressing their economic challenges. When he views the chances of doing that are more important than the path that he's on, I think that there's a potential for change. And again, we're prepared with a military option should that fail, but I think we're all at this point doing what we can to make sure the economic and diplomatic pressure campaign gets a full opportunity to succeed.
All right. So even Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dunford, is not pushing for war at this point. Now, he did say that there is a military option. I think that pretty well wraps up our segment tonight on North Korea. I do want to say that this guy, yes, I'm continuing to use the duck sound effect for him because, well, that's what I picked out long before Rocket Man was ever heard. but needs to wise up and wise up quickly. Because, remember, Russia says sanctions won't work. Nikki Haley has said she's ready to kick this to Mattis because she doesn't know how much more how many more options the UN Security Council has. And just as a reminder, North Korea is a weapons proliferation country. And I'm playing a little bit of clip roulette. I think I found the right clip.
Said provocations from North Korea have grown, frankly, too common, too dangerous to ignore anymore. So we're working with the international community, and that includes our partners in the region, certainly Republic of Korea, Japan are among those stalwart partners and allies who we're working with to address this concern. But we're looking at how we...
All right, wrong clip. I'm going to have to take some time one of these nights and find the one that I specifically want and mark it so I can pull it without playing clip roulette with you guys on the air. Because yes, I do have more audio clips about North Korea than I play every night, because I could probably string together all my North Korean audio clips and fill an entire hour. Maybe I should do that sometime just for grins and giggles. Could make quite an interesting show. All right. I've got to reach back on the printer to grab something. So I'm going to let you listen to some of my favorite words from Scott Harvath, a.k.a. Terry O'Hara, while I do that.
For anyone going through any type of personal battle, whether it's cancer, PTSD, depression, a personal challenge that they want to do. They want to go climb Mount Everest. You need to stay in the fight. And when I say that, I mean mentally. If you're not mentally in the fight, if you don't stay in the fight, you can't win.
All right. Now that I grabbed my article off the printer and got to play one of my favorite audio clips that's always on my board, I just don't get to use as often. I think it's mostly there to make me smile. Iran has sentenced a member of the nuclear negotiating team to 5 years in jail. Iranian authorities sentenced a member of Iran's nuclear negotiating team to 5 years in jail. Iran, of course, reached the infamous Iran nuclear deal with the United States and 5 other nations in what was called the P5+1 talks in 2015. That led to the lifting of most of the international sanctions against Iran in return for curbs on its nuclear program. Potential détente with the West has alarmed Iranian hardliners who have seen a flood of European trade and investment delegations arrive in Tehran to discuss possible deals, according to Iranian experts. Reports in the Iranian media said a nuclear negotiation with dual nationality had been arrested after being accused of providing sensitive economic information to Iran's enemies. The case was reviewed in appeals court and a 5-year jail sentence was upheld. In July 16, a member of the negotiating team who was in charge of banking affairs during the talks was arrested. The agency named him as Abdul Rasul Dori Asfahani with Iranian, Canadian nationality and possibly other passports. Security officials have arrested several businessmen, including Iranians holding joint American, European, or Canadian citizenship, as part of a crackdown on quote-unquote Western infiltration of the nation. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps detained Samak Namzami, a businessman in his mid-40s with dual U.S.-Iranian citizenship, while he was visiting Tehran. They also arrested his 80-year-old father, who was a former Iranian provincial governor and former UNICEF official who also has dual citizenship. Both men were jailed in 2016 for 10 years on charges of spying and cooperation with the U.S. government. This goes right along with my usual warning. Cross Iran, Pyongyang, aka North Korea, and Syria off your I want to visit tourist list, please. None of these regimes are friendly to Western countries. None of these regimes are friendly to Americans. Just don't go. And Iran does not recognize dual nationality. If you hold anything /Iranian citizenship, they will say you are Iranian. Now, let's get back. We've got more Iranian news. Iran and Turkey will work together to confront the disintegration of Iraq and Syria to ease tensions in the crisis-hit region, according to Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. All right, this is no joke. Iran is trying to gain a major foothold and wedge itself right into the Middle East here, friends. They have built weapons factories in Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. Yemen is a failed state. And they support the Houthi rebels that exist there. I mean, Iran basically gives the Houthi rebels the money they need to exist. And, well, that fact was pointed out by none other than our own president. I think I've got the right clip here at his speech to the United Nations.
The Iranian government masks a corrupt dictatorship behind the false guise of a democracy. It has turned a wealthy country with a rich history and culture into an economically depleted rogue state whose chief exports are violence, bloodshed, and chaos. The longest suffering victims of Iran's leaders are, in fact, its own people. Rather than use its resources to improve Iranian lives, its oil profits go to fund Hezbollah and other terrorists that kill innocent Muslims and attack their peaceful Arab and Israeli neighbors. It is time for the entire world to join us in demanding that Iran's government end its pursuit of death and destruction. It is time for the regime to free all Americans and citizens of other nations that they have unjustly detained. And above all, Iran's government must stop supporting terrorists, begin serving its own people, and respect the sovereign rights of its neighbors.
All right, that was President Trump calling Iran out on one of the largest world stages there is, the floor of the UN General Assembly.
The entire world understands that the good people of Iran want change. And other than the vast military power of the United States, that Iran's people are what their leaders fear the most.
Now, there's all this talk about whether President Trump is going to support is going to blow up the Iran nuclear deal and walk away from it. I don't know, but here were some of his comments on the Iranian nuclear process at the UN.
This wealth, which rightly belongs to Iran's people, also goes to shore up Bashar al-Assad's dictatorship, fuel Yemen's civil war, and undermine peace throughout the entire Middle East. We cannot let a murderous regime continue these destabilizing activities while building dangerous missiles, and we cannot abide by an agreement if it provides cover for the eventual construction of a nuclear program.
Now, I firmly believe that Iran is also, in part, funding North Korea's nuclear research. I have proven it on this show multiple times that Iran and North Korea are trading partners. Now Iran is trying to call Iraq a failed state. I don't believe it's a failed state. I believe it, at least yet. I believe it's on rocky ground. And of course, Turkish President Erdogan and Iranian President Rouhani did have a joint news conference. I am working on trying to find an English translation in audio format. Relations have been generally cool between Shiite Iran and Sunni Turkey. I mean, come on. Turkey's a member of NATO and they're Sunni. But there was one thing that brought them together. The Kurdish vote for secession. The Iraqi Kurdish secession vote is an act of betrayal towards the entire region and a threat to its future. Iran and Turkey have already threatened to join Baghdad, imposing economic sanctions on Iraqi Kurdistan, and have launched joint military exercises with troops on their borders with the separatist region. Erdogan was on a one-day trip to Tehran, said that Ankara was considering taking further measures against Iraqi Kurdistan. We've already said we don't recognize the referendum in northern Iraq. We've taken some measures already with the Iranian and Iraqi central government, but stronger steps will be taken. Just to remind you about who the Kurds are, they are the largest single people without a nation of their own. They literally are the size, a population the size of Canada. Yes, Canada. And they do not have their own country. Personally, I think that is something that is very despicable and horrific. They were at one point promised something by someone, but it never came to pass. Now, why it never came to pass is a whole convoluted issue I don't have time to get into. I have covered it on previous episodes. If you can't find it and you want to know it, let me know and I will track it down for you, because what many of you may not know is, well, in addition to Iran being who they are and being a state sponsor of terror, they are propping up many, many, many more than I have time to go into in any grave detail. Nations and violence. And if you don't believe me, just listen. You want proof, and because I don't have time to go into it. All right, just a reminder, here's who the Kurds are.
The world's 30 million Kurds, equivalent to the population of Canada, make up the largest ethnic group in existence without a recognized state of their own.
Yes, that is a complete, quick definition on the Kurds. The Kurds have been survivors forever. The Kurds are in a region that has been fought over. They've been run roughshod over. And here's another thing I don't like about the Iranian nuclear deal.
The U.S. and its allies allowed Iran to sidestep key restrictions on its nuclear program as they rushed to meet deadlines for last year's deal, Reuters has learned, keeping President Obama's standout foreign accomplishment on track at a critical moment. Foreign policy reporter Jonathan Landay has the exclusive.
I was able to review a report coming out this week that says Iran was given exemptions by the United States and its negotiating partners from certain restrictions in the Iran nuclear deal.
Now, The fact that there were so many secret side deals, and yes, I must attribute that to both Reuters and Foreign Report, that audio, that's why I don't support it. There were too many things we didn't know, too many hidden factors. And I mean, I understand certain things about Iran, but why they would, why wasn't the Iranian nuclear deal made public in its entirety? And I've got one last audio clip as you consider the plight of the Kurds.
Since 1920, the government of these countries, in which Kurds reside, have done everything in their power to limit or eradicate the Kurdish identity.
The Kurds are a long-suffering, long-persecuted people who have done nothing more than fight for their rights and their independence, and 30 million people without their own state. I'm sorry, in this host mind, I've got one comment.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
All right, I have just about come to the end of an episode. I am quickly running out of time. I am grateful I do not have to end tonight's show on taps. And yes, I do check every day. Just as a reminder, I want to remind you that there are many men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Oh, I do have to end on taps. I just saw it. All right, here we go. The Department of Defense today announced the death of a soldier who is supporting Operation Inherent Resolve. Specialist Alexander Milson, 20, of Tyler, Texas, died in support of Operation Inherent Resolve. He died on October 1st in Saladah Province, Iraq, as a result of injuries sustained when an improvised explosive device detonated near his convoy. He was assigned to the 710th Brigade Support Battalion, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 10th Mountain Division, Fort Polk, Louisiana. And as is my custom, there will be no words after taps.